Asteroid of fear.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Men of the House podcast, and it is Unfiltered Friday. So, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you choose to listen to it, and thank you for tuning in and choosing to spend your time with me, giving me your most valuable asset. But this is a two-way conversation. This is meant to make you think, give you perspective, and if you resonate, don't resonate, uh, hit the LinkedIn in the episode. Contact me. I want to meet you. I want to hear from you. If you're a listener, what you like, what you don't like, what you'd like to see more of, what you'd like to see less of. Could be these solo episodes. Some people don't like them. Some people love them. I know for me, the reason I do them is to give you an idea, one, about me, the host, because the way I choose podcast is Um, I typically, there's a host I like, whether it's something they do as a profession, um, maybe they're just a good dude, good upstanding person. And so I always like to know more about them because typically they're interviewing people. So yeah, it's like getting to know about your favorite podcast hosts, what makes them tick, and also understanding, you know, wherever this materializes into a service. Um, it's showing you that I'm human just like you. I have problems just like you, mental health days just like you. Not perfect, but a work in progress. And yeah, we're going to talk about all that because it has been an interesting couple of weeks. I have been what I feel like has been fight or flight for, it seems 3 or 4 weeks. It's been rough. Um, Not pleasant at all. But we'll talk a little bit about that. But first, let's shout out Scotty G. Just be with Scotty G. Check out my mug here. I am having a coffee. This hopefully don't bite me in the ass tonight when I try to go to sleep, since I have sleep problems. But I've actually kind of given up caffeine lately. I just haven't felt like it. I've been starting my morning with 16 ounces of water infused with element, some smarter greens, and some Ohm mushroom immunity blend. And I've been chugging that. That water fills me up. I haven't typically felt like coffee, and I've been fine. But I've been working hard for about 4 or 5 days straight. Had shitty mental health for about 3 weeks, 4 weeks maybe. And I've had a couple of coffees in between then. But this coffee is kind of a like somebody would enjoy a fine whiskey. Only I don't drink whiskey anymore. Um, Whiskey was my drink of choice, but yeah, well, shout out Scotty G again. Be authentic, they'll adjust. I'm just Scotty G'ing it up today. But today was the day I felt normal, felt more like myself, didn't feel fight or flight. Um, Part of that was due to a conversation I had yesterday with a Jennifer Chase from Rise Addiction LC. Great conversation. I can't wait for you guys to hear that one and for it to come out. But her and I were just so similar. It provided this perspective that I'd never heard of. I'd love to give it to you, but you're going to have to wait for the episode. That is right. But that shifted my perspective enough to start telling myself I want to be happy, I want to feel better. Because I was kind of at a point where I felt bad, but it was perpetuating. I was continually isolating, um, standoffish, aggressive, heightened sense of everything. A little bit like going out into the world as a rattlesnake, showing your rattles if anybody gets near. Um, yeah, people don't want to have to worry about that walking the streets. That's when you're walking the cliffs in Roby, Texas, or Sweetwater, or you live in the sticks like me. Then you watch your step. Mm. Sweet nectar. This one is infused with a little first form salted caramel collagen. I think it's got 18 grams of protein, little 4 ounces of chocolate Fairlife, some more protein, maybe 4 grams. Um, Normally I put creatine, but I need to get some more when I am having this. Um, and I also, Bubs has been my flavor for 6, 7 months. Big fan of Bubs. Their collagen and their MCT, but I wanted to try the first form. I didn't want to order it, but I saw it at Academy. Huge salted caramel fan. It is tasty, but it is kind of strong. So be warned. Very, very pronounced. We'll see. Probably be going back to Bubs and their MCT powder. But I'm not knocking first form. I like kind of like Andy Frisell. I mean, he seems like a pretty good dude, um, and what he's built. And they look like they have pretty good products. I guess I have some of their first form beef sticks. They had the breakfast sausage ones on sale, like 50% off. I guess nobody was buying them, so I swooped up the whole box for like $10. But I had heard like their first form ambassador thing is kind of like an MLM type of thing, which is off-putting to me. Um, that's the only doubt I have with first form. I don't know that it's true. I don't care enough to research it. So it's just something I heard. Um, but yeah, they look like they have pretty good products. There's lots of good products. Nick Barr from I think BPN, um, like his stuff. I like Jocko's stuff. Um, yeah, Bubs, definitely Bubs, and I feel good about what they do in their causes. And if you haven't heard that interview, head on over to Mic Drop and look for the Bubs co-founder. I forget his name. Maybe it's Travis or something. But go check out that story. I've heard the story before, but it's about one of the gentlemen, Glenn Bubs Doherty, who was killed in Benghazi. But he seemed like a pretty cool dude, and kind of what they're doing with that, them giving back, definitely dig him. And the MCT powder oil for the creamer, that mixed with, yeah, it's just got a good blend, good flavor. Um, but yeah, go check them out. They're not a sponsor, but hey, Bubs, if you want a sponsor, I would be more than happy. Even if it's for a tub a month, a tub of MCT and a tub of collagen peptides, I would take that. Doesn't have to be monetarily. But yeah, I got my Bubs mug over there. What is it? Die young as late as possible. Next to my Mammoth March shoes and metal. But yeah, big on the Bubs. Big on the Scotty G too. So enough about unpaid advertisements and unpaid solicitations. But these are products I enjoy. These are people I enjoy. And I would like to shout them out, paid or not. Actually, in all fairness, Scotty G gifted me this shirt. He sent me a newer one with the letters not faded and I've shrunk. So he sent me a new size and he sent me the mug. So, and all these stickers on my desk. So, yeah, it's not unpaid. He hooked me up and I appreciate it because these are my favorite shirts and my favorite mug. But anywho, let's talk about the weeks. I think what last Unfiltered Friday, I was coming off vacation. Um, yeah, it ended on an interesting note. Can't really go into it. It's private family stuff, but needless to say, like we left on a Thursday. We were gonna come home. We were gonna like spend the weekend at the in-laws and maybe come back Sunday, but we ended up like driving for 9 hours that Thursday. We dropped my niece off and then drove it like 4.5 hours to drop her off and then another 4.5 hours home. And I kind of retreated and used the opportunity to make some money Ubering, and that's what I did all weekend, to include yesterday. I don't know if it's school time's coming back. Parents are busy, but lots of deliveries, good money, and I appreciate the work. And it's given me time to think and reconcile about some of these personal issues. Um, one of it being my highs and lows, my mental health, in that, it affects everyone around you. It doesn't just affect me. And then trying to get past the guilt and shame that comes with that. Because then that leads to this whole like, my family would be better off without me. I'm doing them a favor. I'm the common denominator in everything shitty in their life. But, that's that low self worth addict talking of, you know, I'm not a sum of the bad things I've done. That doesn't define me. But sometimes it can be easy to think that way. It can be like, hey, um, yeah, I'm doing you a favor. I'm the common denominator. I mean, you have a football team, somebody's throwing shitty passes or not catching the ball. What do you do? Fucking replace them. You swap them out. What do you do? Somebody's not making their blocks. You fucking swap them out. You remove yourself from the situation. And, I'm also a team player. I'm empathetic. I see the big picture. And if I'm contributing to the downfall of the team, then hey, um, yeah, removing yourself seems like a viable option, like you're doing them a favor, even though I know it's not true. Speaking of which, we're even trying out a new camera angle. I should be a little more facing forward. I don't have this lamp on, trying a different color scheme where it's still picking up nicely and kind of matching and glowing all the orange lights with the orange background over here. Fireplace, orange, orange Stanley. No, I don't like orange. um, but anyway, back to all that. Yeah, and so you start to feel guilty and you start spiraling, get this rabbit hole. And like when I was talking to Jennifer yesterday, it's like, I tend to isolate and push away, hence all the Ubering. Thank boy, I at least made money. But, the opposite of isolation is connection. And I'm still working on straightening out some of my brain chemistry and trying some frequency of hormones, trying a new medication that I didn't really want to get on, but I'm open if it's going to help, if it's going to keep me from feeling suicidal and thinking that my family would be better off without me, then fuck it. We can give it a whirl. Um, but it hasn't quite worked yet, so I'm still struggling. But yesterday was kind of the first glimpse of hope after that conversation with Jennifer, and you know, because I've had this 5 year struggle of being laid off, going through alcohol, quitting alcohol, um, family and marital issues because I'm just not being the best person. And, I'm doing all this work. I'm in therapy, I'm in groups, doing coaching, all kinds of shit to straighten myself out. And, yeah, she brought up this interesting point of I'm doing all this work, but the person who dealt with the aftermath and has no support is the partner. Could it be my wife? Like she said, it was her husband. And like he said, hey, I'm glad for you and you have all this, but I don't have anyone. And yeah, so it made me think about I need to encourage my wife to pursue something of growth, so she feels like she's growing too, um, whether it's inclusion in my growth or actually inclusion in my growth, but also her pursuing something else so she doesn't feel like she's being left behind and it doesn't put distance between us and make us two different people who don't want to be together anymore. Because obviously that can be a concern. But that's what was kind of hopeful about that conversation I had yesterday. Her and her husband, 29 years, and they've made it through a shitstorm that you'll get to hear about. And gives me hope and some perspective. But, you know, part of the other thing that's hard to explain is we describe it as mental health. My wife will be like, hey, I've never dealt with people who had like kind of mental health issues. And yeah, I think some of it is mental health. I mean, I have mental health, people with mental health issues on both sides of my family. I think some of it is unavoidable. Um, but there's a part of me that I think it's much more than that. I think it's more of a spiritual battle, if that makes sense. If you haven't heard my story, go back, check them out, and you'll hear of kind of my dance with seeking religion and faith my entire life. And so sometimes I think it's a spiritual battle. And if I had told you some of the things I've done, you would understand that, I mean, both good and bad, I mean, for instance, I was almost lost 3 times. Almost was not born. My parents lost two after me. Um, got burned as at one. Got these scars on my leg you can't see, but you see a little bit of the tone change right there if you were watching. But both legs, months in the burn hospital, asthma, 3 pounds 11 ounces preemie, sick all the time, told what I could never do. And that goes back to where I was like, who demanded that I live a life of significance? Nobody. But I think it was myself going, I got to prove all these motherfuckers wrong because all everybody told me was you're never going to be like other kids because you almost weren't born. You born 3 pounds 11 ounces. You have fucking lung problems. You can't do the shit other kids do. Um, you're too little. Yeah, and maybe that's where the self-imposed excellence come from. Having to prove, fuck you, I can do it, or I'm at least gonna try. Oh, but I don't know where I was going with that, other than taking it back to like a spiritual thing. If you go back through all that, if I told you some of the things I did, you'd be appalled. I'm not proud of them. Um, but I probably could have borderline walked down the path of potentially becoming a serial killer. Um, and all the things I've been shielded from, protected from. My guardian angel's been busy. Yeah, I have to believe that there's some divine intervention in my life. And that some of what I experience mentally is not really mental, but spiritual. That person who was susceptible of violence and doing bad things, it could have been the next Ted Bundy. Um, yeah, not really my style, not my MO. But I was just listening to Joe Rogan with somebody and they were talking about Ted Bundy, so he was the first person that came to my head. But yeah. It's kept me divinely protected for something. What is that something? But it's always these pulls. The pull towards people pleasing, doing stuff for other people, being in corporate. The pull of me doing what I know is right, what moves me, what drives me, what I see in the world, the injustices. But sometimes I get so angry and frustrated that I fight fire with fire and I get evil. I get just as evil as the evil people. Because love is a violent language. Love is a universal language, but so is violence. And some people only understand that. So, yeah, I, you know, I always say I'm surprised I'm not dead or incarcerated. Um, so, what has he brought me here for? Why am I 49 years old still trying to figure out what the fuck is my purpose? I mean, it's only been 5 years since I got laid off, and it's only been 2 to 3 years since I've been figuring out who the fuck I am, minus all the years of healthcare and what I thought my identity was. And like with podcasting, it's up and down. I do these other jobs. Some are lucrative, some are not. Sometimes I get in that isolation, fuck it, SI mode, and I'm like, oh, fuck the podcast, take it all down, delete all socials, get some normal ass job, and just fade into the distance as an unknown because the world gets that frustrating. Or sometimes I'm so intense with certain things because I feel so deeply that I can come out hot and aggressive, and then I feel ashamed. Then I feel like I'm leaving a bad imprint on the world. I don't want to do that either because I see a collective. I see a world that my daughters have to grow up in and live in after I'm gone. So, yeah, it feels personal sometimes. And I lash out against it. Then I feel ashamed. Then I want to drop off the face of the earth, run away and hide. But it's not the solution. So the hardest part for me has been staying still, sitting in it. Was thankful from earning some Uber money. Um, but it was a semi form of avoidance, which I'm aware of. But I did need time to think, and it gave me time to think. And if I can come back today level headed, then that time was worth it. I didn't make any impulsive permanent decisions like leaving, uh, filing for divorce, or any of the other number of things you can do, taking off. with some cash and just disappear. Yeah. So if it keeps me from doing that, then hmm, we'll have to settle for that. But yeah, in an effort to solve that, I was like, I read a daily devotional. Went and got me a new devotional, Stronger Every Day, because I've read the one I have twice, like a yearly Bible. This one's for men, Stronger Every Day. And then I got The Purpose Driven Life by Rick Warren, uh, which seems pretty cool thus far. You read like a chapter a day, it's broken down by days, 40 days, like Jesus in the desert. You get questions to ponder. You get a little QR code you scan that's got like a 45-minute video. Um, yeah, I know I'm, like I said, I feel like it feels spiritual. Evil keeps trying to pull me because Satan knows I'm capable. Therefore, I have to lean towards the good. But, I know deep in my heart, I'm a person of service. I want to make a difference in the world. I want people to feel not alone. I want them to have some perspective. Um, I know that's the true part of me. And I know that's God's way, which is about love. Um, so yeah, I'm just working on nailing that down, trying to figure out. I mean, this has gone on 2 years, trying to figure out how this piece, the podcast, fits into what else I'm to be doing, whether it be coaching or who knows what. The path illuminates as you walk it. You got to keep making good choices, stacking up wins, um, stay in prayer, stay in the right lane, and you'll get your answers. But I mean, lately, my brain has been all over the place, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's been the anger. It's been a little bit of everything, but I have not been able to calm my thoughts. Yesterday was the first semi-success. And that was kind of like through reading, getting rid of negative thoughts, manifestation, listening to some podcasts on that, on trying to control thoughts, basically, trying to figure out how to pivot, how to snap out of it instead of dwelling. Because man, when I get flustered, I can fucking hold a grudge. I didn't talk to my dad for 10 years. I can be a real fucking dick. Um, I don't forget easily. So, yeah, I am working on that. Reading, coaching, therapy, prayer, centering. We're going to get there. I just have to keep myself from being impulsive. I need to be reaching out to people I care about, or people who care about me, or people who are willing at least to listen, hear me out much sooner. And I know they're out there, but you know, my kind of personality is like I don't want to bother you with my bullshit or feel like I'm always have some bullshit. But it's seasonal. Good times, bad times. Speaking of spirituality and whatnot, when I was on my walk before this interview, I saw this feather, this nice little feather. If you can see it, nice white and grayish and black, very smooth. And weave it through my 72 Chevelle, my dream car over here. Saw it on the ground, turned around, went back and picked it up because I initially passed it up. And I was like, what's the meaning of it? And, groundedness, maybe angels, um, which is what I need right now. And then along my walk on my last lap back, I don't know if they were like scissor tail birds. I don't know if that's what one of those came from, but there was like some on a wire, some on a fence, but there was this one that followed me like all the way home. Then he went like to this pasture, and this other one kind of flew up next to me and was walking along these two fences, and it would kept flying like a little bit ahead of me. It'd wait for me, I'd get close, then it would fly a little bit ahead. And it made me think because oftentimes I see cardinals and I think they're my loved ones and people I know, and kind of the same with all these birds just flying around me, finding the feather. Maybe they're my angels. Perhaps it's, time for something new. But I feel a lot better. But I got to learn to get through these periods much quicker. I've got to learn to spiral less because it gets bad, real bad. And I don't want to do anything impulsive, stupid that's going to land me up dead or incarcerated. I have something. I have a heart and some sort of gifts to share with the world. So we just got to get to that point. But I have an interview in less than an hour. Then I have some therapy coaching type stuff. Upload all this and blah, 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 blah. All the less fun stuff. But this is the fun part, the conversation, the talking, the getting it off my chest. And hopefully you listening to it. Hopefully you find value in it. But until next time, go out and be the person that you would want to meet. And if you're looking for truth, stop showing up with lies. Peace.
Asteroid of fear.